Oh, Jesus. My old chair broke. Shout out to Wayfair for making trash chairs. Thank you for stealing $80 of my money in exchange for a chair that I can only sit in for 2 months. That was great. Thanks, Wayfair. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Nisi Pisa. That's my first name and last name. I am an extremely online disaster. Today I am going to talk with you about a recent development in my life. That development is I hired a man to cut 4.5 pounds of breast tissue out of my hot toddies here. That's right! I got a breast reduction pretty much 3 weeks ago at this point, and I am thriving. You came here because you wanted me to talk about getting my bazoingos chopped down to size, and that's what we're gonna do. First of all, what size was I before I had the reduction? I was clocking in at a 42H. That is the bra size I wore. And I'd only been an H for about 6 or 7 months. My boobs were actually still growing, which is why I'm very nervous I'm gonna have a regrowth, but we'll get into that later. I got mollywopped by hormones, basically. I was maybe a very small C, large B cup when I was 16. That was in about 2011. Fast forward to now, I was an H cup. That's a lot of growth. I'm not gonna get super into detail about all the terrible ways I was feeling, both mentally and physically, and I guess metaphysically, before the reduction, because about a month ago I made a get ready with me video in which I'm talking about how terrible it is to have a 42H cup brassiere size. So if you would like to watch that video and see the before, I will link that video up in the cards. So about last December is when I started to get the ball rolling for this process. I talked to my mom, and it was Christmas Eve, and I was crying in her car, and I was like, Mommy, I hate my body, I need to do this. So then we started doing it. Fortunately, I had already scheduled a checkup appointment with my endocrinologist. The reason I have an endocrinologist, I really don't want to get into in this video. It's a very long other process. Just know that my body is a complete disaster on the inside. So I have an endocrinologist, and I was already meeting with her on December 9th. And I figured I should ask her if I should get a breast reduction because the growth in the first place was a result of hormones, and I was nervous that there would be a reason, hormone related, why I couldn't get the surgery, so I decided to ask her. She was like, honestly, there's no reason from my perspective as your endocrinologist why this shouldn't work. If it's really bothering you that much, I think you should absolutely do it. She said, as long as your PCP says it's fine with me. And I was like, great talk, Melissa. I already had a checkup scheduled with my PCP for January 8th. I recently got a new PCP. I moved from pediatrics to internal medicine, so the PCP that I saw in January, I was seeing for the very first time. And so I explained all of the things, I explained the reasons why I had an endocrinologist. I had a lot of medical history to explain to her. And I brought up the idea of the reduction, and she was like, okay, well, if your endocrinologist already gave you the okay, then I'll just go ahead and put in a referral to a breast surgeon for you. And I was like, Gail, you a real one, you a ride or die. So I waited about 2 days, and I got a phone call from the office of my breast surgeon. And they were like, hello, is this Nisi Pisa? And I was like, why, yes, is this the office of the people who are going to make my dreams come true? And they offered me a breast surgeon consultation visit for May 4th, which, if you're not familiar with the Gregorian calendar, is what we in the business call really far away from January. About 5 months was a bit difficult for your girl. I was going through what I realize now was a major depressive episode, or what in layman's terms, some whack and I was also very nervous because I had this voice in my head thinking, I'm not going to be able to get the surgery. When I have the consult, they're going to tell me I can't get it for whatever reason. It is at this point that I will pause and talk about finances. I did a ton of research about breast surgery before I had the surgery, before I even had my consult. And one of the things that I was most curious about was cost. I saw a couple of different price estimates. I was seeing people saying it cost them like $3,000. I was seeing people say $8K, $11K. The most expensive I saw was $15,000. I was in such dire straits with regards to my relationship to my body that I would have just signed a check and handed it to my surgeon, just be like, just put any amount of money here. I was seeing people talk about insurance. And when I say I was seeing people, I'm talking about what was really the greatest resource for me throughout this process, which was the subreddit r reduction. If you are considering getting a breast reduction, please read this subreddit. It is very helpful. Even if it doesn't give you concrete medical or financial advice, it's a really great community of very uplifting people who are either pre or post-op or considering getting the operation. And it's been very helpful. But there are people saying, well, my insurance doesn't cover this, so I went with a surgeon who doesn't accept insurance, so I'm paying out of pocket. Or, in order to get covered by insurance, I had to go through a course of physical therapy to prove that I had exhausted every form of managing the back pain and the neck pain and the shoulder pain, and the only thing left is the reduction. And that frightened me because I did not want to have to go through a dog and pony show process of physical therapy and go through like what could very well be like a 6-week course of physio to just come out of it on the other end and be like, look, I'm still in question mark pose all the time because my back is just a disaster. Please cut my boobs off. So I walked into the consult kind of expecting the worst. I was expecting to be told there's no way you're getting this covered by insurance unless you go through this physical therapy dog and pony show, or unless you go on some painkillers or whatever. I go into my consult and my surgeon is a very young, handsome man, which is stressful. I talked to him about everything I was experiencing. I was like, well, in addition to my self-esteem being non-existent now, I get headaches at least twice a week. I have to crack my neck because it's so tense. Anywhere between like 7 and 9 times a day. I'd get spasming back pain a fair chunk of the time. And of course I had the very stylish shoulder divots from wearing my industrial strength bras. And he was like, you know what? We should probably put in the application to your insurance company to see if you get covered because you are experiencing all of the symptoms necessary for coverage.
A detail I forgot to mention is that while he was telling me that he was going to put in the application to see if I could get my surgery covered, he said if we paid out of pocket, it would probably cost around $11,000.
He talked about some of the risks involved with breast reductions, one of which is regrowth, which is my greatest fear. One of the things that contributes the most to regrowth in people who have had breast reductions in what I've collected through research appears to be severe weight gain and also having children, which I can't do. My insides are all scrambled up and I can't have children. So that's not a concern. So we'll see what happens in the coming, I don't know, 10 years. So he took some pictures of my breasts to send to the insurance company. That was really weird, but it was helpful because like a week later on May 15th, I received a letter from my insurance company saying that I was approved for coverage. Dear Nisa Nisi Pisa, this letter will serve as confirmation that we have approved coverage for the service requested above. In all caps,
reduction of large breast.
Absolutely. I was, of course, giddy AF because this means that I wouldn't have to pay out of pocket or my surgery, which was great. I was very excited about that. As I was leaving, he said that his office would contact me within a week to suggest a surgery date. So for that week, I just stared at my phone and they were like, would you like the date of August 13th? And I was like, you bet your sweet bippy I would. In the time between when I made that Get Ready With Me about the surgery and when the surgery happened, the date was moved up a week from August 13th to August 7th. In the months between my consult and the actual surgery, I became even more hyper aware of my body and my self-esteem got even worse because I knew that the reduction was happening. And so every day that I had to live in my body the way it was sucked. I was having so much trouble getting ready in the morning and I was uncomfortable all the time. It was a very emotional time for your girl. And actually, speaking of emotions, there is a vlog. There's a little clip on my computer of me in what has to have been March because it was before I quit my job and it was before the consult and I'm like crying and super upset and sad and I'm like, if I can't get the surgery, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I'm going to insert a little bit of it right here, even though it makes me look super pathetic.
I miss liking the way my body looked. I'm just so uncomfortable all the time and I hope that I can. And if I can't, I hope that I have somebody helping me through that because I can't do it by myself. Like, God damn it. Like, I'm crying and my serum won't dry.
Like, that was really upsetting to watch for me when I found it. Honestly, this is how much I needed to get the surgery done. It was ruining my life. Now we fast forward to August 6th, the day before my surgery. I'm pacing around my apartment, absolutely losing my marbles, mostly because I was supposed to call the head coordinator at the hospital where my surgery was to confirm my surgery time, which I'm pretty sure was a pretty normal procedure. And she said to call between 1 and 3:30. And I called 7 times in that block of time and she never got back to me. And then called me back at like 3:45 and said, sorry, I was in a meeting. And I'm like, girl, why did you tell me to call during the block of time you were in a meeting? We confirmed the surgery time. It was final. 8:30 a.m. the following morning, my life would be changed forever. The negative was I had to be there at 6 in the AM. I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning on the 7th, and I actually have vlog footage from this, so I will insert that now.
All right, lads, so this is the fit. Feel pretty stylish, feel pretty next season. I feel like good. I was super nervous when I woke up, which was like 15 minutes ago. It's 5 o'clock in the morning at BT Dubs. And now I feel good. Now I feel good and fresh, and I showered, and I don't have to use HIPAA cleanse anymore, which is great because I despise it. My skin is so dry, but it's so clean, ladies. And I feel like we're gonna be a-okay.
That last shot of me locking my door and walking in the hallway, I was gonna do kind of like a Casey Neistat, Julian Solomita-esque montage of like me driving and like me walking places, and then I forgot to take any more of those clips, so that's why that's there. So my mother and stepfather and I go to the hospital. I've packed a bag of things I'll need for the week after surgery because I was going to be staying with them because I wasn't gonna be able to do much by myself. And I check in, and then we sit for another 10 minutes and they move me over to a different waiting room that's closer to the surgery waiting area. And we wait there for a while, and then they start calling in patients. And I was like, oh my God, it's about to be time. I don't know what time they called me in, but they did. And my mother went with me. They had me use the bathroom and then brought me to this little alcove. There was this large room that had a bunch of little alcoves off with beds and equipment in it, and that was where each patient would go to get pre-surgery stuff done. So a final check-in with the nurses, the anesthesiologist would come in, their surgeon would come in. It wasn't just breast surgeries, it was all the surgeries. So I went in there and I got into a hospital gown and they put me underneath a warm blanket, and I talked to the nurse about all the same things I had talked to the other nurse on the phone about a couple days prior. After a little while, my surgeon came in and greeted me and asked me if everything was going well. I said, it's gonna be going better in 5 hours when I've got less breast going on. He drew on me with Sharpie in that classic plastic surgery style, outlined where the new nips were gonna go. They're up here now, and they used to be like down here, so that's a great improvement. Then the anesthesia process began, which was really unpleasant. I have had surgery before and I didn't have any negative reactions to anesthesia. Some people get very nauseous because of anesthesia. I also do not have a needle phobia, so if that's something you are worried about, I have no guidance for you because I am not afraid of needles. I have had many blood tests in my 24 years, and so I am not afraid of them. It came time to put the IV in, and the anesthesiologist pricked the needle into my hand, and a horror movie spurt of blood squirted out of it. And he was like, oh great, this is a perfect place for the IV. And I was like, it's so great. And then they asked me, do I want a nerve block, which I've come to understand is essentially the equivalent of an epidural. And I was like, okay, what are the benefits of a nerve block? And they were like, well, it will lessen the amount of narcotics you need to be under after the surgery. And I was like, I would love to not be under a ton of narcotics. Give me the nerve block. Should I have said yes to this? I don't know. I wasn't in a ton of pain after surgery, but they made it seem like I was going to be hella numb afterwards, which I was not. And the process of putting on the nerve block was really unpleasant because I had to like sit on the edge of the bed. They had to turn off the lights and ultrasound my back to find the spaces around your spine called epidural spaces. And so they have to use the ultrasound machine to find where they are so they can then inject the block into those spaces, which means they have to hardcore press an ultrasound wand into your back. And I've had an ultrasound before. It's not that unpleasant. This was like, I thought their wand was going to go through my back. They were pressing me like button downs on a Friday night, you feel me? Then everybody came back and wheeled me into the operation room, and they put a mask on my face and I was gone. I was in recovery and I was pretty lucid. I was like talking and asking questions. And in recovery, I took one of, I think, 2 oxycodone pills I took throughout the entire process of recovery. And both of those pills were taken while I was in hospital. I have a couple clips of me in the hospital, so I'll include those right here. Because my insurance was covering the process, it was not an outpatient procedure for me. I spent most of that night responding to DMs on Twitter and ordering subpar hospital food. So let me talk about the dressings a little bit. I woke up in the hospital wearing a surgical bra stuffed to the gills with gauze covering the entire gnarly area. Thursday was when I changed the dressings for the first time. My mom had to help me with this because it was way too painful to do myself. She went to a medical supply store and bought big abdominal gauze pads. My mom is the best person to ever walk the earth and was very helpful throughout this process. The first couple days of post-op was, I would say, 80% me lying with myself propped up because you obviously can't sleep on your side. That was not great. I'm a lifelong side sleeper and I hate sleeping on my back. It was really boring. A lot of people online was like, I was asleep for the whole first 3 days. I was barely conscious, and I was not. I was hyper conscious. I could not sleep, and I wasn't sleepy or foggy at all because after I get out of the hospital, I did not touch an oxycodone. I was only taking Tylenol and ibuprofen. Felt that pain was pretty well managed. I wasn't very sore the first couple of days because numbness was my saving grace. I have a couple vlogs from the first couple of days. I will insert clips from those right here.
I am suffering, my guy. Also, how wild is it that like my entire boobs fit in frame? Generally, if I was filming from an angle like this, you'd see like the tops of them here and the bottoms somewhere, I don't know, by like the Tropic of Cancer or something. But it's like, I have never in my life felt uglier than I do right now. I feel like my head looks so much bigger. My hair, I don't even want to talk about it. My skincare routine, what skincare routine? I don't care. I would say the most annoying thing is the swelling. Like my skin from here down is like rock hard from swelling. I showered yesterday. My mom had to help me. It sucked a lot and I don't feel clean. Basically, I would like to go into a cryogenic freeze until August 23rd, which is when my post-op appointment is. I've seen what they look like. It's like still not there yet. I'm definitely like, oh my God, like this is amazing. I haven't like lived my normal life with them yet. Because I can't, because I'm still healing. I'm so impatient though. This sucks. This like first couple of days healing, this is whack, sis, okay? This is whack. That's my official diagnosis of this period of time. Blows.
Yeah, the first week after surgery, I spent most of it being bitter that I couldn't do anything. Now that I'm about 3 weeks post-op, I feel great. Here's a quirky little thing that happened about a week after the surgery. About Sunday, the 12th, I noticed something kind of irritating me in my right armpit right here. And it felt like a big splinter. And I was like, that's weird. And I took a look at it in the mirror and 'twas a staple, a small surgical staple. So I was confused and I tried to pluck it out with tweezers and then it was super painful because it was a staple and it wouldn't come out. And I was like, cute. Loving that mood. So we called the doctor, the surgeon's office, and we were like, hey, so there's some office supplies inside of me. Can you guys deal with that, please? On Monday the 13th, we went to the office and we saw the nurse practitioner that usually works with my surgeon. And she took the staple out real quick. She was like, oh, that's from surgical dressing that we accidentally left behind. I'll take it out. Boop. Didn't feel it at all. Threw it away. And she was like, now that you're here, let me just treat this as a week post-op and feel your breasts a whole bunch. And she said everything was going as normal. I was still getting some drainage. There was nothing to worry about. Don't lift anything heavier than 10 to 15 pounds. You're Gucci. See you in a week for your 2-week post-op, which happened today. I stayed at my parents' house from the day after surgery, which was August 8th, until the following Tuesday. So I spent basically a full week with them. I'm going to include some clips from my daily check-ins now. I did one every day during the week that I was home, which was last week.
Sis, I'm delighted. Girl, oh my god. Look at me! Day 9. Everybody give it up for day 9. I feel really good. I just got back from getting dinner and like walking around a whole bunch with my friend. Swelling's going down. Numbness is subsiding a little bit. Getting a little bit of jiggle back in them. Which means that like there isn't, you know, swelling and numbness to absorb like any pain I might feel when I like take a step. Which is definitely happening. I'm super mobile now. I'm not running yet. I'm not trying to play with fire, you know? A couple of my favorite dresses no longer fit, which makes sense because they were, you know, the minority of my collection that I actually felt good in. And now those things, which actually did highlight my body in a nice way before the reduction, are now too large and just look like potato sacks on me. So I can wear things that I wasn't wearing before because they didn't really accentuate my figure in a way that I enjoyed. Showering is pretty much happening without incident. I just have this irrational fear of my stitches falling apart. Still no real issues with the nipples. Any pain I'm experiencing and any discomfort is primarily happening on the underside. Bruising is letting up. It's definitely subsiding. I can see visually there's like less pooling happening underneath the skin. There's definitely an increase in itchiness. I'm still not going without gauze. I'll be very nervous putting on the bra with no gauze. I'm a little scared, but it's still like 2 days away. So we'll see how it goes. But honestly, my lads, the vibes are all Gucci right now. It's been 11 days since the surgery. Today actually has been a pretty bad day in terms of recovery. Basically, I've been very sore all day. The stitch underneath the breast, which I've been referring to as the underwire stitch, it's the one that's at like the bottom of the anchor, the big one, has been very sore, predominantly on the left side, but pretty equally between the two of them. And I think I know why. I think the issue is that swelling is going down a little bit and numbness is going down a little bit. I can tell that swelling is going down because they are moving a bit more like natural breasts move. They've been very, very firm since the surgery because of the swelling. But there's a little bit more like bounce back in them. A little like bap, 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 little jiggle. The jiggle physics are returning. You know, more movement. It's gonna, you know, put some strain and bring some soreness. And I also feel like the stitches are tighter. When I was showering earlier, anytime I like bent down, I felt like kind of a tightness in like the underwire stitch. This might be complete malarkey, but I have a feeling that like maybe it's tight because like the tissue is like bonding together and maybe like the nerves are reconnecting and like that's why I'm feeling more soreness because like there's more nerve sensitivity there now because like they're finding each other again. Again, I am a complete dumbass and I don't know anything. If I update tomorrow and my breasts have fallen off, I was wrong. It's also been hard to gauge the pain levels because I've been trying to wean myself off of pain medicine just because I'm a warrior like that. But I actually did take Tylenol, like a normal dose of Tylenol earlier today because of all things, hilariously, my back was hurting because I've been sleeping on it and I'm normally a side sleeper. I've been contorting my body in this way where I keep the upper part of my back flat because I can't sleep on my side yet with the bosoms. But I've been like twisting my hips so that I can like have the lower part of my body be sleeping on its side. So I'm sleeping in kind of like a Grecian statue contrapposto, if any of you are familiar with art history terminology. But I did manage to wear less gauze when I changed serge bras today. Basically, I've been arranging the gauze so that like every inch of the stitch is covered with gauze and not touching serge bra. And today I made sure to cover like the center of the underwire stitch, like where it meets the center stitch. And on my left breast I did cover my nipple because I don't know why, but nipple sensitivity on the left side is at like 100,000. On the right side it's at maybe like 10, with 100 being like normal. The rest of it is left pretty much without gauze, just on serge bra. And I feel okay. So, you know, I think everything's Gucci. What the frick is Gucci, my lads? Today is officially getting the label of not cute. It has not been a good day for my boobs. There's a lot more like bounce in them today. They're less stiff, they're less firm, which I'm pretty sure means the swelling is going down, which is great. Now I can just feel everything. My underwire stitch especially has been very
freaking sore. I haven't taken any pain meds because I don't want to. I also have almost no gauze on right now. I've almost completely weaned myself off of gauze. There's no gauze on the right breast at all. It's just skin against Surgibra. A piece of gauze right along the center stitch, and then at like the meeting place of all the stitches, the center of the anchor stitch at the bottom, because that's where I've been getting drainage. 3 or so days ago, I was still doing like 2 full abdominal size gauze pads covering the entire incision, and then 1 mini gauze pad on top of the nipple, and now I'm comfortable enough that that's not necessary. So that's great. Yeah, okay, bye. It's the 22nd, so tomorrow is my 2-week post-op appointment, and I'm amped. I hate the Surgibras. I hate them so much. At least with the Surgibra that I have. It covers like my entire upper back, and it's so ugly. It's so ugly. I feel like my biggest issue with the Surgibras is that because I have to wear them, it feels like I haven't really done anything. Obviously, the weight is different and the size is objectively different, but it still feels like I'm not like living the improved version of my life that I was excited for pre-surgery yet, because I'm still wearing the Surgibras. And today I'm actually wearing them with gauze. I was almost weaned off of gauze, and then my skin started getting really sensitive because the nerves are all like coming back on 100,000 right now. So it's like just the skin rubbing against the fabric was both painful. It was less painful and sore and more just like uncomfortable, really. What's happening a lot now is the stitches, especially the underwire stitch and a little bit the central stitch as well, are feeling very tight. Like it's like the skin is really being pulled together. The scar tissue is really forming, it seems. Because I looked at the incisions and they looked, from my perspective as a non-surgeon, great. There's no gapping. There's no like redness. There's nothing that I should be alarmed about. Drainage is still teetering off very small amounts and really still only coming from the left breast. It's all good. So today and yesterday, so today was the 23rd and yesterday was the 22nd, as it often is, I did not wear any gauze underneath my surgical bra. So it was just stitched up skin against bra. And I was pretty much fine. Oh, here's the detail I missed. The shower that I took the morning of my weird little appointment to get the staple removed on the 13th, I almost passed out after the shower. It was the first one I took by myself, and I took it as a regular shower where I was like letting the water like touch the stitches a little bit. I figured I'd been healing for a week and it'd be okay, and it was okay. I wasn't really in pain. It was definitely sensitive, but it wasn't painful. And then when I get out of the shower, I was like, oh, I'm gonna pass out. And I really didn't want to pass out because I'd had a conversation with my mom, and she was like, if the shower goes well and the appointment goes well, you go home maybe on Wednesday. If it goes super well, you can go home on Tuesday. And I was like, I really want to go home right now. I don't want anything to jeopardize that. And I thought that passing out after a shower would definitely jeopardize my chances of being left alone. So I didn't want to ask for help, but I did. I was like, hey mom, I'm about to black out, so could you help a player out, please? We told the nurse practitioner and she was like, that's normal, you're fine now. And I was like, how do you know? But she was right. I did not feel faint after any of the showers I took after that moment. Let's talk about the now. It's the 23rd, it's the 16th day after surgery. I feel pretty fantastic. My 2-week post-op was today, so I saw my surgeon for the first time since the surgery. He noticed that the glue on top of my stitches was starting to flake off, and he was like, that's great. Keep peeling it off, it's not gonna hurt you. There's been enough healing underneath them that you're good. So I think it was like 2 weeks I can like start doing light exercise again, but like don't wait 2 weeks and then like start teaching a CrossFit class, basically. Today, right now, is the official first day without the Surgibra. This is a regular, well, it's a nursing bra, but it's not the Surgibra, and my whole back is not covered in ugly white medical fabric. I'm so happy. I went to Target and I bought 4 bras, and they were D cups, girl. What I've been advised to do is to start moisturizing my stitches to kind of help the healing process, help the formation of scar tissue, and once it forms, to prevent it from getting super thick. I've been using, and I say been using even though I've only used it once so far, the Palmer's Cocoa Butter formula with vitamin E daily skin therapy. He said the most important thing was the friction and the movement on top of the stitches and incisions, and moisture on top of them. And he said to massage it twice a day. And I'm very excited because this means I'm formally beginning scar therapy, which I'm very excited for. I know I'm gonna get scars. I'm not afraid of them. And I think if you are afraid of them, which I've talked to some people who are like, I wanna get the surgery, but I'm very afraid of scarring. Here's the thing about scars. They're gonna happen. It's a surgery. It's rare that you have a surgical procedure that's going to produce zero scarring. The thing about them, if you're really scared of them, you should try to remind yourself of all of the ways that your life is being made miserable by not having this surgery. I was very afraid of scars several months ago, and then I thought, all right, scars, depression and dysmorphia and discomfort and pain, and you hate how you look and you hate how all your clothes fit and you have to spend hundreds of dollars on brassieres. So reduction ended up winning out. Scars mean so little in comparison to how great I feel now. Basically, to sum things up, the mood of the day is extreme optimism. I'm immensely glad I had this surgery done. So let me flex for a second. I am so happy with my body now. I used to be so self-conscious about the way that I looked and my silhouette and every conceivable way you could feel subconscious, and a lot of it went back to my feelings about my boobs. And now everything's coming up roses. I'm so deliriously happy. And I think if you're considering this and it's, you know, viable for you, I really think you should look into it. And I'm only 3 weeks out. There's things that I can't even do yet. There's parts of my life that I haven't even unlocked yet. I haven't gone swimsuit shopping yet, although I did put on my old bathing suit that I used to feel super terrible about myself in. And it looks great. Girl, this is me at the beach the last time I wore this bathing suit. And this is me at this very moment in time looking like a full course meal. Should we wrap it up? We should wrap it up. Basically, I'm really happy. If you have any further questions about things that I did not cover, please don't hesitate to ask. I urge you to do it if you want to. It was a much less scary process than I thought it was going to be. So wrong? No. So right. Oh girl, you better stop. Oh wait, hold on. Let me get the leg. Girl, you better stop. Thank you so much for watching my video. Before you leave, I'm gonna need you to do a quick favor for me. If you could go ahead and have an amazing day for me, that would be breast-tacular. I'll see myself out. Ah! Goodbye!